This is the BBC.
This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
Thanks for downloading the In Our Time podcast. For more details about In Our Time and for our terms of use, please go to bbc.co.uk/Radio 4. I hope you enjoy the programme. Hello. In Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice, the young Lorenzo woos his sweetheart with talk of the stars. There's not the smallest orb which thou behold'st, but in his motion like an angel sings, still choiring to the young-eyed cherubims. Such harmony is in immortal souls. This is the music of the spheres, the idea that the stars and planets as they travel through space make beautiful music together. The music of the spheres played out of the ancient classical world through the medieval period and into the Renaissance. It affords us a glimpse into minds for whom the universe is full of meaning, of strange correspondences and grand harmonies. With me to discuss the music of the spheres are Jim Bennett, Director of the Museum of the History of Science at the University of Oxford, Peter Forshaw, Postdoctoral Fellow at Birkbeck, University of London, and Angela Voss, Director of the Cultural Study of Cosmology and Divination at the University of Kent, Canterbury. Peter Forshaw, the starting point for all this is the Greek philosopher Pythagoras in the 6th century BC, who spotted a relationship between mathematics and music. Can you explain how he is said to have arrived at that?
Yeah, the story goes that Pythagoras one day was wondering how he could discover something useful for. Already something existed, the straight edge existed for the eye. He wanted to discover some sort of instrument that was useful for the ear. And basically, he was walking past a blacksmith's shop or a smithy, and he heard the clanging of hammers on the anvil. Suddenly he realized, the gods have given me a clue. He went inside, listened to the hammers and recognized some consonance between the sounds. The story goes that he weighs these hammers and discovers that it's something to do with the weight of the hammer that is responsible for the sound. He goes home and stretches gut strings from a rod, adds weights to the bottom of them, and then plucks these strings and experiments. And through that, we're led to believe, he discovers the basic consonances of the octave, the perfect fifth and the fourth of music, and the notion that music has a mathematical foundation to it.
And so the idea that music has a mathematical foundation to it is the sum of that. Whether he arrived at that by this folk myth, which could be true, or whether he didn't, is slightly beside the point.
Yes,
I mean, he arrived there at that notion. Had it been hinted at in Babylonian or Egyptian ideas before then?
You'd always got a mathematical basis to, for example, astronomy and astrology, and these are areas that Pythagoras is tapping into really with his work, because what he does is he extrapolates from the fact that mathematics is a basis for music to the idea that there are underlying harmonies in everything, both the microcosm man and the macrocosm, and particularly takes it from this idea of music with hammers and anvils to the idea that there is an underlying harmony astronomically and astrologically through the heavens.
Yes, as I understand it, it takes the idea of what is discovered mathematically into music, takes him into the spheres and takes him back into the way the human soul operates. So he has, as it were, the whole thing comes out of this mathematical discovery of the correlation between. And in doing so, he discovers that